Good afternoon and welcome back. We are here again, and this week we are here. I mean, I'm sorry that we had to have sometimes. Yeah, I'm sorry we have to have some repeats at times because we just can't do it. And last week it was just Randy wasn't feeling that well, and I was tired. I had a lot of things to do. So, it happens. I'm sorry. We do our best. But sometimes we just can't, and we have to use a repeat. But this week we are not. So.
And when the show airs, I'm actually at work. So.
Yeah, well, that's another thing. We have to
bend the laws of time and space.
Yeah.
We have a flux capacitor.
I wish I had one and I could leave the planet. Forget Mars, being somewhere else in the outer space, not just Mars. Okay, that would be nice, but I can't yet. It's kind of expensive. I understand those flux capacitors are pretty expensive, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Some people save up a lifetime and never get one.
Yeah, even if the fuel can be eggshells. Anyway, so...
I had to stop for a second and think to even come up with a flux capacitor. I don't know, for some reason. I had to think.
Oh, really? It didn't come out naturally?
No, it wasn't on the tip of my tongue.
Oh, what a shame. But what should be on the tip of your tongue is the station identification. Let's go with that.
and you're listening to OrionTalkRadio.com and Micro1650.com in Tonawanda, New York. You may be hearing us on Spreaker.com or TalkSuperstation.com, TalkStreamLive.com, Shoutcast.com. You may be listening on the TuneIn app on your smartphone.
That's about it.
That's about where we are.
Yeah, that pretty much. Yeah.
Applied for iHeartRadio, but no, they don't want us.
No, they don't?
Yeah, because we got some episodes that had more than 15 seconds of music.
Oh man, that's a real crime. Mm-hmm. Whoa, yeah. That's worse. That is worse than attacking the medical establishment, right? Yeah, that's really bad thing. And of course, that's what we are here for. It's not attacking, it's exposing what they do and all the misconception and misinformation they spread and all the wrong procedure they use. Now, you remember we talked quite a bit about that poor girl that went in because of the problem of sleep apnea, and the medical establishment solution, of course, was cut off pieces to allow her to breathe better. Cut off, maim, and obviously they got carried away with cutting off, and I'm sure that's the reason why her heart stopped and she died. But then she was revived, but not fast enough, so she was brain dead. And of course the mother didn't accept that, and so therefore she was guilty because she was creating all these problems for the hospital. And then the lawyer of the hospital had so many headaches having to go in front of the press and discuss this. Really terrible. And the parents were awful people because they were causing that to happen. Not the hospital that killed their daughter. No. Oh, well, that happens. Anyway, so I want to get back to that one to point out why in the world they would want to cut off pieces of her body, eliminate vital parts, because I'm sure they eliminated some important pieces of her nose and her throat, and that's probably why she died, or they declare her dead to cover up their messes. Why would they do that? What is that going to resolve? And then, as always, I like to make some investigation and do some effort and figure out just exactly what can be done for sleep apnea. And guess what? I found something that is a natural remedy, is an herb, it's called lobelia, okay? And it goes back, it's a plant that was used by Native Americans okay? And it is to support the respiratory system and calm the nerve system, serves a universal relaxant to help respiration. So it is used for sleep apnea, and there are doctors that are using it. Some that move away from standard medicine and try to do different things. And as you know right now, we are discovering the Chinese medicine has had this for a long time. A lot of things, and there is something else I need to talk about later down the line. But anyway, this is from Native American. It's a plant in the U.S., and that's what you use for sleep apnea. Not cut off pieces of the body, not surgery. What they call surgery is actually maiming, is not surgery. That you can do that easily, pretty inexpensively too. You can do it. Why her parents, I don't know. Why her parents decided to send it to a regular doctor, why the regular doctor suggested to go to a specialist for surgery. Why? And why, knowing the bad record that standard medicine has, why insisting of going there instead of finding a different route? And of course, part of the problem is insurances. The insurance coverage is voided if somebody goes to an alternative practitioner. So that cannot be done. That is not going to help. And people don't know any better. Okay, but it's going to cost you a lot less to go to an alternative practitioner than go all the way to the standard ways, beside the fact that the standard ways, yes, they're covered by insurance, but they also kill you. And they don't cover funerals, by the way. So, yeah. So, why people do that, I have no idea. So if any guilt the parents had was not knowing not to go to a standard medicine and look somewhere else to find the solution to the daughter problem, that they didn't do. And if you can call that guilty, yeah, they're guilty of that. It's not quite that major of a crime, but because the real crime is committed by the member of the medical establishment. But people should really think. Stop and think what to do, what the bad things have happened. Don't listen to the doctor, because they're always tooting their own horn and they're always explaining their great abilities and pushing their resume and what they have done. And they are not getting to the point of what is out there that has no side effects and does not involve removing vital parts of the body. What is out there? There are many things. This was one of them. But they would have had to have gone to an alternative practitioner. And let me point it out, I'm not saying that all alternative practitioners are great and everything they do is wonderful. No. They do a lot of blunder. They have a lot of wrong conclusion and they use the wrong things, that too. But at least investigate and give them a chance, okay? Don't blindly accept what member of the medical establishment tell you, because more often than not, they're incorrect. They just do what it was taught in medical school. They just do what they understand and they know, and they do not think. Okay? That's the real problem. How do you think you're going to make somebody with sleep apnea, knowing what the disease involves, how can they do better using how can they do better by cutting off parts that obviously people could not spare? We don't have spare parts. We were not cars designed like cars that have spare parts in case, and even the cars don't have that many. So just think before you jump into the system and then take everything they say, because it's not correct. The medical makes so many mistakes. And I want to show, I read this article that doesn't have necessarily anything to do, it does with medicine somehow, but now with a conspiracy, other than just showing a tremendous amount of stupidity and the closed book mentality. Now, this article says it's a statement that they're not kidding. It starts by saying not kidding. We're not kidding. But comedians have psychotic personality traits. Okay. All right. First of all, what kind of a waste of money do a research on comedian and their personality? Don't you think that is a total waste of money? Why? Money and time, just because they didn't anything? Just anything to raise money to do something? That is the first stupid point of all of this. Comedians serve a purpose of making people laugh, some of them anyway, not all of them, and a lot of comedians are only basing their funny status on being gross, so that is not necessarily an issue that whatever they do and say makes people laugh. But that's a perception of what it is that they do. Okay, some are really funny, but some are not. So anyway, that's the thing that they did a testing of all of these comedians, made them fill forms. And, that's another question. What makes you think that people are writing down the truth when they fill a form?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Even if they do it in an anonymous, if it's not anonymous, that's even worse. But even in anonymous condition, what makes you think that they're telling you, giving you the right information? So this type of quote testing to me is completely worthless. But one thing that got me in this report that shows where we are at, especially when we deal with members of the medical establishment, is a comment that they made. That they comment that comedians score significantly higher than the general group on all types of psychotic personalities. Okay, all the traits that make a psychotic personality. Of course, somebody had to decide what a psychotic personality is, and that had to be pretty much biased and a personal opinion. What really gets me is that in the psychotic group and people and personality traits that are psychotic is people, get this, people that believe in telepathy and people that believe in paranormal events. Those are psychotic. That's one of the signs of being psychotic. Yeah, what do you think of that? Anybody that thinks outside the box is psychotic?
Well, I've said that before, that most people that listen to this network probably, would their psychological profile tests that would find something wrong with all of us.
Because thinking about outside the box is considered a form of psychosis.
Right. You
have to conform, otherwise you're psychotic. Okay, let me tell you something. Telepathy is not a psychotic, and believing in telepathy is not an issue of believing. It's knowing. Just because we are conditioned in a way to ignore it is something that we have. We all have. Some people are more sensitive to it because they have ignored the conditioning, but we all have it. It's there. It exists. It's just that we are conditioned not to pay any attention to it, to ignore it, and let it go, fly away. It's there. It's not flying away, but we are just ignoring it. That's what's happening. Because that's a form of communication that cannot be controlled. So what you do, you get people to ignore it and not realizing that they have. Go on without it. Now, paranormal events, as much as you want to say they don't happen and it's all imagination and people are psychotic that think they have had it, no, it's not that they think. They happen, but then again, we have been conditioned to ignore them and accept the fact that they don't exist. They ignore them, continue ignoring them and saying, no, they don't exist. And then when you're faced with an event that cannot be justified in any other way, then at that point, well, you're just going ding-dong. And so we are pretty
going ding-dong.
Yeah, and you're very useless. It's unbelievable. All the forms of trying to brainwash people and convince them of what's convenient, okay? I must be psychotic too, because I've had so many occasions in my life where I know that telepathy is possible. Unfortunately, we are not taught about controlling and using it. That's it, but it's there. And it's easily happening with people that are connected in a certain way, and they're really close to one another. They are somehow connected, but it can happen to anybody. And as far as the so-called paranormal, see, even the word tell you the attitude. Paranormal. They're not normal. They are not part of normal life. Why not? They happen, they're part of life, and should be considered part of normal life. I mean, we're not going to the extreme. If anybody has seen the Beetlejuice movie, that's kind of extreme, although it's telling you certain things. Okay, but it goes to kind of an extreme, although it's entertaining. My favorite part is the use of Harry Belafonte music.
Damn.
Yeah, the dinner table, and even at the end when she danced, you know. Yeah, you know, when they his things, but you know, that's just an extreme. But there is just calling it paranormal. It tells you the mentality, the black box mentality, that you cannot think about outside that box because that's what we want you to do. That's basically it. That's what we want you to do. And then waste money in testing comedian. It's not that they're sick. There's nothing wrong with them. They entertain the public. They had to be a specific personality to be able to stand in front of a group of people and make it laugh. That I agree, but that does not mean that they are psychotic. That just means that they're different. But, you know, certain people feel more comfortable thinking that if you're not thinking with them inside the box, then you belong to a category that should be ignored and a category that should be ousted and put aside. Then that is the psychotic people. And that makes them feel more comfortable because then you are fitting the pattern. And when you fit the pattern, you're going to do what you're told to do. See?
Get with the program.
Right. Yes, and get with the program because we do have a global warming. It's obvious. Look what's happening now. It's obvious that we have a global warming. That's why we're freezing our bazoo. This is a horrible winter. Oh, it is global warming. Okay. Oh. Anyway, that's the mentality of the group of directors that control our lives. Okay? And now, what else do we have going in this crazy world, especially the world of medicine? Well, I already discussed some of it last time we had a show, which was 2 weeks ago, and then last Saturday was a repeat. But I was saying coffee. Coffee has been the villain, attacked for years and years. How bad it was for people, especially people that had a heart condition or people that were prone to heart condition or they had a family problem of heart condition. So they couldn't have any coffee. Coffee was bad for them. Coffee was the villain. And you cannot eat too many cups of coffee. Too many is just, I guess what it was, 4 cups of coffee was too much. I don't. Do you remember, Randy,
No,
what was too much?
I really don't.
I don't either.
I've always drunk too much coffee, so.
Well, too much according to whom? Okay, because now they are saying, number one, coffee consumption can help chronic liver disease. And it's actually the best prescription for it. Okay? All right. And then it came out good for your heart, too, when they have been saying for years that it was awful. And then there is another article that says coffee is great. Coffee can do no wrong. You can eat all the coffee you want. It's great for you because it's an antioxidant. I'm pretty sure they're still finding the sugar you put in a villain and the coffee and the sugar beside the sugar, the milk you use in it or the cream might still be a villain. I don't know. They had kept their mouth shut. Actually, there are some people that are still saying milk is better. And there are people that are saying drink milk. So those are the confusing messages people are getting. But the coffee now, the messages is wonderful. And there has been some research done to confirm this. And of course, who did the research on coffee? Take a guess. Italian doctor.
Real alternative radio. We are OrionTalkRadio.com.
Orion News Talk exists because the corporate news media has failed us miserably. Our media has been controlled for decades. In 1917, J.P. Morgan bought up or infiltrated the top 25 newspapers, and news control became reality. The CIA took over in the 1950s with Operation Mockingbird, recruiting over 400 journalists and news people, including Walter Lippmann, Edward R. Murrow, and Walter Cronkite. And today's top media figures are members of the Council on Foreign Relations, a group that at best is a think tank for foreign intervention, and at worst a proponent for the New World Order. The number one rule in journalism is to always follow the truth. The number two rule is no entangling alliances that prevent you from following rule number one. So why then are corporate media members part of the CFR? And now today, 6 corporations control our major media, which is why more people are turning to us. So keep listening and tell a friend. Orion News Talk, news and views beyond the mainstream media.
Okay, we're back from the break that we almost missed.
I'm off my game. I'm not with the program.
Yes, and you are not in the box. And what box is that anyway? Okay.
In a box with a fox.
We were talking about the coffee box, right?
Right.
See, so now you can have all the coffee you want, and it's great. However, has to be black coffee, because if you start adding sugar and cream to it, then you have a big offenders. Sugar is bad for you. Cream is bad for you, so you can't have those. Now, how long before that comes to an end? Well, we have to have another 30 years of, just like we have demonized coffee for 30 years. Now we need to demonize sugar and milk for another 30 years before we come to the point that maybe you can use it in coffee. I cannot believe it. I've just heard about sugar. Oh, sugar would be good because it is antibacterial. And I find that just because of the way sugar has been used, that doesn't make it antibacterial. But it will be good, but then it's bad because of when it gets to your stomach, it's bad. Oh, come on. If you don't have anything, and it's sugar or honey or maple syrup, not the others, just the maple syrup. Although the maple syrup is sweet, but it's not like sugar or honey, but you can't have those because they are sweet. Well, if you don't have those, you're going to have stomach acid out of control and you're going to have acid reflux. Oh, no, no, no. That's a totally different thing. It's not too much acidity in your stomach. That's why you get that, or you're going to resolve it with a glass of milk. Oh, no, my God, no, no milk. Can't have milk. Or sugar. Oh, no. Well, and then years from now, they'll discover, oh, yes, you need to have those to fight acid reflux. After years and years that they have sold that garbage of drugs. I mean, it's just unbelievable, the things that people are being fed. You have to think for yourself. Sugar has existed forever, way before people develop acid reflux. A new name for it. Stomach acid is now acid reflux. And a new name, causing cancer. Do they say that milk causes cancer, by the way? They might as well. I know that they say sugar does. Well, you know what? The reason, the statistics are saying that cancer is on the rise. Well, then other statistics say it isn't. But cancers that are not on the rise. Well, sugar has been used all along from the beginning of time, only now is not being used, and you still have cancer being developed. So it's not the sugar that is causing cancer. It's not all the other culprits they list. So what causes cancer? Nobody's telling you what causes cancer. They tell you if you do this, it can cause cancer. If you do that, it can cause cancer. And heaven forbid, don't take herbal supplements. They're bad for you. But what really causes cancer? I have been asking that question for years, and I really did for years, try to gather information, talking to people that had cancer, had developed different type of cancer, and try to ask him, what is it that causes it? Guess what? Drugs. Drugs are the major cause for cancer. And the second one is pollution in the environment. Do they push that? Of course not. They make you think that is what you do that causes cancer. Or what you eat. Yeah, the drugs you swallow, prescription drugs that your physician has suggested they're going to save your life, those are the ones that cause cancer. And that's why people have problems. Not the ice cream, the milk, the sugar. Can you imagine you can have milk and sugar? That means no ice cream. Whoa. Tough life. And I know certain people consume ice cream like there is no tomorrow. And, but people have eaten ice cream forever. People have eaten sugar forever. People have had milk forever. So how come now the milk is bad? Yeah, it must be the environment, but that is not just from the milk or the ice cream or the sugar. That has been around forever too. No. The pollution only in the last maybe 60 years. And that's where the rate of cancer has gone up. So
growth hormones.
Yeah, and that probably mess up the... But I get you that even... They really don't know what they're doing with the genetically modified. And the thing that bothers me about it is that everything has a thick, hard skin and it ruins the flavor of everything. Yeah, anyway. Now, somebody told me that a big chicken producer is going to all organic feed, and I'm trying to find out who it is. I know that almost certain that it is not Tyson, but said that a chicken producer is going to all organic. And I sincerely hope it is Purdue, because that's the best chicken around, and I really like that company. So I hope it's them. And because of this information, this person is really positive on thinking that we are going to win the war against Monsanto and the genetically modified food. I sure certainly hope so, because it's ruining everything. Things taste weird. Everything, I don't know what they're doing to everywhere about our food. It's just awful. So, and even my daughter said she was able to find some organic ground meat, and she said, wow, it finally tasted like a hamburgers used to taste. So, I hope we can reverse this pattern, because you can hardly eat anything now. They have this weird taste. And I thought there was something wrong with me, that wasn't tasting things right, if something was wrong in my life, but it's not. A lot of other people are having the same problem. So, but they have introduced it without asking us. It's just sneaking in with the government help without informing the public. And we are figuring it out the hard way. It's just really depressing if you think about it. But there should be a way for us to fight back. And this person that was talking to me said that he's confident that we can stop, and we can do anything if we are all united fighting this kind of outrageous behavior. Let's hope so. Okay, what other ridiculous thing is going on out there? Well, this article was saying that it's trying to bring light to the attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, okay? ADHD children. And they're at least admitting that there is a lot of marketing going on that one. The reason for that happening is a lot of marketing. It's not that actually more children. The HD, I always have problem. ADHD, I always have problem with that unless I say the full name. Anyway, and that's mostly psychological. That thing infuriates me. They take away PE. In a lot of cases, they take away a recess, and then they complain that kids get fidgety and they cannot pay attention, and they are futzing around. Gee, big surprise. They're children. They need to move around. They need to release their energy, not treated like monkeys. Don't move, don't breathe, don't do anything. And heaven forbid that you should think. Okay, don't do that. All right. So at least this guy is saying there's a lot of marketing involved in that, and the money that the doctors make when kids are diagnosed with attention deficit. But what he's saying is it's not just the fault of the physician, because there are other factors involved. And one of the factors he claims are the parents that want the kids to do well in school, excel, and do really great. And I don't see how a kid doped up to behave and not move and not be a nuisance can really do better in school. I have no idea, but that's what he claims. The parents want that because the children will do better in class. Okay, I don't see how that could be. And the other factor is the money that the school gets for children in special education, which include the children that have attention deficit. So they are not just the doctor, they're just the parents and the school. But it said, the article says that it's basically fall back into the doctor, because the doctors have to evaluate this condition, the attitude of the parents, if the parents are actually pushing it, the attitude of the school and the interest of the school, evaluate that. And if they are pushing somebody that is really not anything, to me, ADHD does not exist. Attention deficits and hyperactivity disorder does not exist. It's just a bunch of stupid diagnosis to cover the fact that certain parents don't know how to handle their kids and don't know how to discipline them. The school that want to have extra money for special ed, and the doctors and the school they want to make more money because apparently the drug company pay some kind of premium or something to the teacher that puts a kid into request a medication for a kid with supposedly ADHD. So it's all a combination of interest, falls back into money. So let's ruin our children. It's okay as long as we get what we need. I think another factor, and that comes close to home, another factor is the parents that want to over-discipline their kids and turn them into slaves, puppets, and they cannot do it because the kid is too smart, so they figure they'll drug him. And that is something that I experienced along with my daughter about her firstborn. Her father, she had divorced, couldn't control the boy, and he was trying to get him declared ADHD, so he would put in medication and he could control him that way. Fortunately, the school was honest enough to say, no, he's not, and not go along with it, fortunately, because maybe in another school that would not have happened. So I'm particularly sensitive to that issue because I've seen it directly. And had not been honest people at the school where my grandson was, a criminal father would have succeeded in messing him up. So he still has some psychological effect. That's why. The first thing this jerk would do, that has nothing to do with medical, but has to do with control. And turning to medication to control that. Or when he had the visitation, the first thing he would do, he'd take him and get his hair cut off. Almost all shaved off like the military cut, which Nolan hated. And so
now he's got hair all the way down his back.
Yeah, and he has beard to fight that. Yeah, last time I saw him, I said, okay, here you go, Sasquatch. Because of the hair and the beard. But anyway, he'll get over it eventually. But see, this is nothing but in other cases can do real damage, okay? And those drugs are awful. For ADHD children are awful. So it's terrible. And it's all part of money, greed, and the medical conspiracy. Okay. And that we're even trying to get to a comedian, as I told you before. So, okay. And at the same time, though, some people are really waking up to the fact that herbal products can do a better job than medication. Okay? And there was a study, and I'm happy to see these. Not that many people do that, but this was this MD, who, by the way, is Chinese. MD and PhD, and I think that's a clincher. If they're only MD, they're a total loss. PhD, there is some help there. And he's at the University of Chicago, Illinois, and he discovered this combination of herb that is Chinese and is called, and I really am not quite sure how to read it, Yankee. I'm not sure how to read it because that's not Latin-based languages. You do not have a Q followed by without a U after that, not in Latin-based languages. So I don't know. This thing is spelled Tianqi. So I don't know. But that is not something I'm used to. See a Q without a U after that. Latin-based language, the Q always have a U after it and then whatever letter. Vowel.
I don't know.
Yeah. But it says a combination of herbs, and it's actually something successful in reducing the progression of diabetes, slowing down the progression of diabetes. Now, mind you, it doesn't cure it. And it might if it's taken early enough, but because that's the trick about Chinese remedies. They are not really successful in advanced cases of anything. You have to take them at an early stage, and then they can be quite successful. But it's always early stage. I don't know about this, but they said they had really good results on diabetes by using Chinese herbs. And I know that Chinese herb and Chinese remedy can do a lot of good things. I have seen it, and it's just that most physicians refuse to accept it. And there is fact, there is another controversy, I'm sure, that goes back a few years, but it's still going on. This other controversy is red rice yeast. Okay? A red rice yeast, if it's done, is not modified, is not messed up, is not controlled, lower bad cholesterol. Okay? And it's not like Crestor or Lipitor that make a mess of your liver, make a mess of your heart, make a mess of everything. Okay? Statin drugs are bad. And in fact, I think it was China or Japan that they discovered that it was also causing, they had determined that it was causing bladder cancer. And of course, in the U.S., FDA said, no. Statin drugs are good. What about the side effect? Oh, but those are justified and acceptable because of the good results that we have. Bad side effects are acceptable because we have good results. Okay. Is that a good result if somebody has lowered his cholesterol but is going to die of liver failure? Is that success? Anyway, that's the stand of FDA. But actually, what happened is that the statin drugs have imitated nature and have created artificially a component that is naturally in red rice yeast. Okay? Lovastatin. That's what they call it. And actually had red rice yeast has citrinin and lovastatin. Well, FDA stepped in and said, citrinin, it's toxic. You cannot have it. So it has to be removed from red rice yeast. And by the way, there are people that say red yeast rice. No, the name is red rice yeast. You can call it what you want, but the name is red rice yeast. That's even making sense. Citrinin is created by the fermentation in the yeast, so it's bad. Okay, it's a poison. It is toxic. No, they didn't say it's poison, they say it's toxic. And the lovastatin, well, has been synthetically created by Merck and is put in their product I don't know if they produce Lipitor or the other one. I can't remember which one is their product. But those are great. They're man-made, created by, artificially created by a drug company, and those are great and have a good success. Unfortunately, there are bad side effects like liver failure and apparently bladder cancer and heart failure and you name it. But they get good results. Now, the natural one, no, that's bad. You cannot use it. You cannot buy red rice yeast. Now, they sell it, but the active ingredients have been on the request of FDA and being removed. Now, apparently, some doctor has discovered that not all red rice yeast out there has gotten the active ingredient removed. Some still at least contain lovastatin. I don't know about citrinin, but lovastatin, yes.
Hey, we got about 15 seconds.
Okay, so we are running out of time at the commercial. Well, actually, it's the end of the first hour, and we're gonna have the news break. And on the other side, at the beginning of the second hour, I finish this Lipitor and Crestor fight against, I guess, it's red rice yeast and versus Lipitor.